he's got the stand-up collar there, so that became his collar number. With these officers, they've got a revere, so the number had to be moved. So it mainly goes on the epaulets now. He will still refer to it as his collar number, as you will, won't you?
Yeah.
So, and just occasionally sometimes have it on the uniform at the front.
Like my dad's old ambulance uniform, which is at home in a wardrobe, with the silver buttons down it.
Yeah.
That's from the 70s.
Yes, yeah. Well, this officer, you'll notice, although they're all wearing helmets, he's got a black plate on the front of his helmet. These have all got silver. And the reason for that is, when he was on duty at night, he would be walking very close to the wall, checking shop doorways, etc. He didn't want the reflection from the gas lamps, etc., to reflect off his plate. He wanted to be in the dark. And in some cases, they had black buttons as well. But there's no point in that now, because you've got street lights everywhere and they wear high vis. So, and this officer would go on duty and all he'd have
His whistle.
was his whistle.
Yeah.
So he would hope that when he blew that and he needed help, that they would hear it, because no such thing as a radio, no such thing as getting help that way, and he would only carry a truncheon down his trouser leg. So very little protection, and I would like to point out that these officers that go out today wear stab vests.
Oh,
Not a
back
nice
in those
thing to
days
see,
they were
remember,
quite
is it?
strong, so if anyone got the felt his baton, his truncheon, they would feel it.
An officer today, when he puts his stab vest on, I don't think his family like it very much. It's very hard to see a member of your family putting that on to go to work. When these officers go
Compared
out
to that,
and there's trouble, they're running towards it. The rest of us are running away. So they've got to be respected for the job that they do. Right? This officer here, this is to represent Kenrith Grosvenor. Ken is a lovely, lovely man. He's in his 80s now, but he was the first black police officer in Cheshire, and we think the third in the country. And Kenrith mainly patrolled Crewe, because Crewe at that time had a large black community, and they could relate to Kenrith. We did a little buffet for him. He brought all his family down. He'd been in active service all his career from when he joined us, and he's retired and he's thoroughly enjoying it. I'm pleased to say. This officer, I don't think you'll remember, but I certainly do. White armbands and gloves.
Traffic.
Yeah, good lad, yeah. So he would stand at the crossroads. He'd
I think it was a long time back I saw an officer with those on. Probably when I was a kid in the 70s.
Yeah, right. Well, in my day, you see the officers stood, and if they stood at the bridge foot, when the Mersey had all the pink foam on it and the wind was about, the poor officer would be stood there doing his traffic duty covered in pink foam. Yeah, so that was him. And then this officer, you'll notice, he's wearing his ribbons. They're allowed to wear the ribbons if they've been in active service in the army or wherever. And his medals, of course, will be attached to those when he's on parade, etc. So that was his day and age. So when you see the ribbons on them, that's why they're wearing them. Our manager's got his uniform in the back at the moment. He's got his ribbons on.
That was 80s, 90s, that uniform.
Yeah. And yeah, but 1970, that one. But Peter's ribbons, he's never been in the army or the military in any way, but his is like his commendations and what have you, and they're allowed to wear them. Moving on down, we've got female officers. When these girls were police officers, they were WPCs, Women Police Constables. There's no such thing now.
Yeah.
And you'll say, but there are police officers. Yeah. Female, yeah. But they are now just police officers, because when they brought the Act in where it was equal opportunities, etc., across the sexes, these girls then became part of a whole team, and they do exactly the same job now as the men. They get the same wage, they do the same hours, and anything they want to do within the police force they can do. They can do traffic, dog handler, armed officer. They've got all that. But when these girls were on duty, as you can see, a skirt, tights, shoulder bag. They had to carry this shoulder bag with them. And in this shoulder bag, they had to carry a tiny little truncheon, up close and personal with that one, it's that small. Handcuffs, notebook, whistle. Oh, whistle's attached to it at the bottom there. And she'd have to have that over her shoulder, and if she was like chasing someone, the skirt would restrict her, the bag would restrict her. By the time she got that off her shoulder, unzipped it, he'd be well away.
I was thinking if you're in a struggle with someone,
Yeah.
that bag's going to come off.
Exactly, exactly. So, now, female officer, dressed exactly like the men. She's got all the equipment on, weighs a ton. So she's got a radio, a camera, a handcuffs, a spray. She has a baton that's collapsible and she just flicks it open, just the same as the men. So exactly the same, equal opportunities right the way through. Which is only fair and just.
Yes.
Over here, we've got walking canes, mainly Edwardian, Victorian, and when your gentleman was going to his club at night, he'd have his lovely watch chain with across his stomach, he'd have his lovely cufflinks, probably a stick pin with a diamond in it, and he'd be strolling along to his club, and what we would call a modern day mugger would attack him to try and get his jewellery, etc. He would have his stick and he would pull it out and he would have a blade, right? So on this side you can see the blade and defend himself with it. So it was a sword stick. But there's two of these in here.
That would,
And they shoot, and they're a gun. Two of these are a gun, they'll shoot one bullet and the trigger is under the handle, and if he didn't aim correctly, that was his only chance of defending himself. Obviously, completely against the law now. You cannot carry a stick.
that is sharp, that
Yeah,
top one.
Yeah, so that's what he would have to defend himself, and that is totally illegal now. These, we haven't made these have been taken in off criminals, and as you can see, they will use anything to make a weapon. Bike chains, industrial chains, anything at all.
When I saw that, I thought, what would the police use that for? I thought that looks brutal.
You can imagine being hit by that is going to do some
anything
damage.
at all.
I have an oil
we've got this
filter
one,
remover
with
which
the
has a
sun
chain which
round.
looks similar, and you wrap it around the filter and
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, that's all been taken in, and they are just Liverpool still use swagger sticks. You know, you've seen the military and they have them under their arm like that. Liverpool still using a dress uniform. London does. I don't think we do, but I think it's a choice nowadays. So if you go this way, I'll go the other way. Sorry. Don't know why those lights aren't on. Right.
Yeah, it's what I see in the papers, all the modern day weapons.
You're going to call these knives, aren't you? We
Yeah.
don't. We call them bladed weapons because every one of these has been used as a weapon. They've been carried, whether it's a kitchen knife.
Oh, so they've been seized off
Yes.
people.
Yeah. So everything, knuckle dusters, ordinary Stanley knives, all these horrible things that now twist, or they do this with it. This one, RIP on the handle. He hadn't intended cutting a loaf of bread, had he? He
No.
knew what he was going to do with that.
It's very scary compared to my
Gurkha's
work
knife,
knife, which is a
yeah.
safety knife with a plastic
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. A Gurkha's knife. Gurkha's knife has the blade on the opposite side. Gurkhas don't take prisoners. Slit your
Yeah.
throat. Right.
Yeah, I can see by the shape of that. Yeah, it's
Yes.
shaped.
And then
Yeah.
these were on display in someone's window. They thought they made a really nice
You
ornament.
could see that from a street.
Yeah. And a 17-year-old boy decided he liked them as well.
So he
he
broke
smashed
in.
the window, stole them. The police gave chase, and the silly devil put it down his trouser leg. In A&E and 17
karma.
stitches later,
Yeah.
he was regretting what he'd done. You cannot display a knife now, not even with inside the house on the wall. It's against the law. You cannot carry a knife anywhere unless you can prove
So like
you're
a
going to
gun,
work.
that has to be a locked cabinet or something.
Yes, it is locked.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to work and you can prove you're a carpet fitter or a chef. If you're carrying a knife and you can't prove it's for your career, then unfortunately you will be arrested.
Yeah.
Over here,
I've got one in my work jacket, but it's a safety one, folding. A work one.
you're
Yeah.
you're not allowed a knife for any reason. Scouts, if they're going on,
Lorry curtains, see, it's the only way you're getting that strap off is cut it.
yeah. I mean, when I was growing up, my brother always had a penknife. All the lads
The
did.
scouts used to give out. We do knife amnesties,
Yeah.
knife surrender
Yeah.
days, and a lot of people come and give the the dad's or
Mine is like
granddad's
the
knives.
length of my fingernail, not even that.
Yeah.
Work knife, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
little tiny thing.
Yeah.
But the scouts used to give out knives, which
Yes.
is now illegal.
Yeah, and if they're going to camp,
Crikey.
if they're going to camp, the scout
Oh, yeah, they were a
leader
bit bigger,
takes-
weren't they? Yeah.
If they're going to camp, the scout leader takes the knife, and then if they're going to go in the woods and do whittling or whatever they're
Gives them out
doing,
now, yeah.
they give them out then, but they're not allowed to go.
They used to give them out to take home, didn't they?
Yeah.
And keep on
Yeah.
them all the time. So.
These knives have never been used. They're brand new. BG, Bear Grylls, very expensive. A man went in his son's bedroom, 14-year-old son's bedroom, kicked a bag under the bed,
And that dropped out.
2 bags full of knives. When he got in from school, his dad said, "What's all this about?" He said, "Well, I like knives." He said, "Right, well, you and the knives are going to the police." And he brought him in. He hadn't committed an offence other than to buy knives underage, but he'd never used them. So we kept the knives, and we do one that we travel around with to the schools. And we had a damn good talking to, and we hope his interest in knives
It's
has
like
faded.
the boy that's in prison with the other girl for the transgender murder in Culture.
Yes,
I can't get
Brianna.
my head round why the father bought him that knife from Bulgaria.
No.
No,
No,
we'll never,
I
we'll
I think
never
that's
know.
crazy.
I
I
don't
mean,
think we'll
that
ever
is-
know the ins and outs of
No,
other
that's
people's
just so
doings,
tragic,
really.
so
It's awful.
tragic. But as Tony was just saying, they occasionally have an amnesty where across the country they will say, bring your knives into the police station, there'll be a box, he puts it in, no name, no address, that's the end of it. And they had one, and they took in 200,000 knives. And along came Alfie Bradley. Alfie was in Oswald Street and he was a sculptor. And Alfie said, "Can I have some of the knives?" He had 100,000 knives, and he sat and he blunted every blade. And then he designed his...
That's cool.
What's the name, isn't it? Alfie designed his sculpture of a knife angel. And as you can see, have you ever seen it? It tours the country.
I've seen it on TV a lot.
It's as tall as that. It's 27 feet tall.
There's an artist, he made his own statue of one.
Yeah.
He was meeting with Skelmersdale Police. They were doing a programme on TV
Right.
about knives.
Right, and it showed you the sculpture, did it?
Not that one, but he made his own and he had it
Right.
on display with the police. Yeah.
Right. Well, when Alfie made that, as you can see,
He was
it's
an
enormous,
artist, yeah.
It's enormous. And he made the hands really big so that it was saying why. Why would you take one of these
Yeah.
and stick it in somebody? So we're very proud of that sculpture. And I wish it had come to Warrington, but it does tour all over. If you ever get the chance to see it, go and have a look at it. And on some of the blades is engraved the names of people that have suffered from that.
There's only one reason for these, that's war, isn't it? It's, yeah.
Yeah. So, turning round again, where you came in this morning was the front desk. I don't know why the light's not on here. Right, front desk. Where you came in this morning, the modern one, sort of. This front desk would be in this era, 1950s, 60s. This is your officer in charge.
Used to be a red phone for 999 calls.
Yeah, that's right. And then everything you told this officer, he would have to write down in his book. If he phoned, he'd have to write it in that book, and then he would put the word out. For instance, if something had been stolen in the town centre, and somebody said, "I've had my purse stolen," it looked like this, the word would go out to the officers in town. They would look for that particular criminal. This particular officer's uniform, PC Hicks, he was famous for something else. Not only did he fight in the war, he was on a U-boat going to the D-Day landings. It was torpedoed and he went down. He managed to get on another one, that was torpedoed and he went down. He got on the third one and managed to land on the beach and fought his war, and there's his medals. But he also, do you remember Ian and Brady, the murderers of children?
Yes.
Right. This officer, when they first found the first body and the police went to the house, this officer was on duty because it came under Cheshire, right? And here he is. This is him here, carrying the coffin out of Myra Hindley and Ian Brady's house.
Which one? That him there?
This one, just
in the
behind
middle.
there, yeah. Helping carry the coffin out. And through that, because they buried the children on the moors, that came under Greater Manchester Police. So they took over the inquiry. But Cheshire were the ones that first found it and dealt with it. And as you know, they found all but one body. So it's...
I always wondered, did they find all the bodies in the end?
They found all but one, but you'll never know whether there were more that they didn't.
Oh, so he
out.
never revealed that last one?
No, it wouldn't say where. Keith Bennett, his mother died without ever knowing where her son was. Yeah. So...
I remember these books when I used to take up my insurance and MOT at the police station. They'd put it in a book like this.
Yes. Yeah,
And it was the old-fashioned way before ANPR.
This, Doctor Who, police box. And when you go into Doctor Who's TARDIS, it opens up and becomes very big. So you're not really in the museum yet. Right? This is the museum that you're going in now.
Yeah.
Follow me. And it opens up. Right, so this is our Victorian scene. And as you can see, we've got the body cart. It's a genuine body cart. This would take either a drunken disorderly to the police station, a corpse, or it would take, if somebody that was ill, to the hospital.
So an old stretcher.
Yeah, this is your stretcher off the
It's
top.
like a baby pram at the back.
Yeah, and you can see it's being used here. It's genuine, with this hood, etc. So yeah, so that's your hand ambulance body cart, right?
When I did St John Ambulance as a kid, it
Right.
was like we had all these old black and white uniforms and a
Yes.
white satchel.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I
And
remember
then
that.
obviously when I drove for St John Ambulance, it was a modern with the fluorescent yellow jacket
Yeah,
and the sirens. Yeah, yeah,
Modern days, everything's fluorescent, isn't it?
because the
This
law was
officer-
changed to
Yeah,
years back. Anyone could drive a St John Ambulance on blue lights, but they changed the law because of private ambulances accidents.
oh yes, yeah.
So
right.
they had to go through the police or the ambulance instructors to
Yeah,
be trained to
yeah,
at least class
yeah,
2.
to be official, yeah.
Yeah.
So here you've got superintendent. He's wearing his beautiful frock coat. That's his dress coat. And as you can see, it's based a little along military lines. His hat, he's got Prince of Wales feathers on it. Cheshire is the only force across the country that can wear the Prince of Wales feathers. And that's because whoever is the Prince of Wales is also the Earl of Chester. And many years ago, the Prince of Wales then decided that Cheshire Police Force would wear his emblem. So that's why he's got the Prince of Wales feathers on, and it's unique to Cheshire. In the background, you can see an officer there, the old uniform with the stand-up collar. He's got a shako hat on.
That's why my granddad used to call them buckets. It does look a bit like Bucket the helmet. Yeah.
It's a shako hat. Wasn't worn for very long. It's got the Prince of Wales feathers on it. It's quite unique. And that officer's got his cape. He's also got his paraffin lamp on his belt. And he would only have his whistle, his truncheon and his lamp when he went on duty. And then turning here, you've got the children and the crimes they committed. So throwing stones on the railway, 4 days hard labour. Right? Stealing a pair of boots, 1 month's hard labour. And stealing a quantity of coal, 2 calendar months hard labour and whipped. Yeah. So all these children, throwing stones on the railway wasn't a good idea, but the one stealing the boots and the one stealing the coal, probably desperate, barefoot, mother wants the coal, baby's crying, what have you. So those were the punishments those days. Nowadays, referral or a rehabilitation order. And then turning round, you've got your adult criminals in Victorian times.
If only we had this punishment today, maybe crime would come down.
Yeah. So, number 1, he stole a pair of boots, 1 calendar month hard labour, conditional discharge, maximum of 3 years, right? And The one in the middle, I think, is the most unfortunate one because he obviously had a very good job as a clerk and he embezzled the money. And as you can see, he's dressed respectably. So he lost his job, etc. And he stole £14. Today's value, £2,077. He did 6 calendar months hard labour and would have lost his job. So to me, he's the most foolish. He was probably desperate for boots. The young lady, she stole the blankets and some sheets. She was probably desperate as well. So she got 4 calendar months hard labour. So that's how your punishment was in those days. Along here, I'll just point a couple of these out. As I said, these are all chief constables. They were allowed to wear the medals.
Yeah.
They were allowed to do time from the service. This particular medal here, this is called the Albert Medal. It's the most expensive medal in this museum, and that was presented for bravery. And it was Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's husband, that had that medal. After several years, it became the George Medal. So there's very few of those about, and yet I did see one on a television programme not long ago. But the Albert Medal is quite unique, and the family that's allowed us to display these is very, very kind. I would also like to point out one of my favourites, which is Goodwin Banwell. Goodwin was a chief constable, and Goodwin served in the military. He did 2 acts of complete bravery. His men were under fire from the Germans, and Banwell went on his own and got rid of the dugout that the Germans were in, and for that he got the Military Cross. He also got a bullet through his face, as you can see, and then several months later he did another complete act of bravery. Yeah. And he was awarded the Military Cross again. So you don't get two. You get the Military Cross and
I do apologise,
and
Annie.
that's the equivalent of the Victoria Cross. Bye, Sammy.
Say thank you.
See you later, Sammy.
Bye, Sammy. Nice to meet you.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye, lovey.
When you see the police cars.
Right, moving on in.
2004. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just run you past this. This is Lindo Man, right? Lindo Man was found in the peat and his body was preserved, and that's what they think he looked like, right? Now then, there were 2 prisoners in jail waiting for sentencing, and one said to the other, "I've murdered my wife." So the other prisoner said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, and I buried her in a field in Cheshire." And he told him which field. So the other prisoner thought, well, I might get my sentence reduced if I tell him. So he told. So the officers went out. Here they are digging up the field. They hit bones. Thought, we found the wife. We found the body. He has committed murder. But when forensics came, they said, oh yeah, you found the body, but it's a man and it's 2,000 years old. And he was murdered. He was garroted. And he was bashed through the head, and I think he had a knife in him as well. And they think that he was the chief of a village, and the crops had failed, so they'd sacrificed him. And they thought he must look like that. They even knew what he'd had for his last meal, which was seeds and berries. Right? So, that is Lindo Man, and unfortunately they never found the wife, but he was charged with murder and sentenced, but they never found a body. And then moving on here, you've got the bombings 30 years ago in Warrington. And the bombings started with
The RA.
the IRA came to Warrington and they decided they'd blow up the gasworks. What they didn't seem to know was that when the gasometer was tall like that, it was full of gas. But when the gasometer is empty, it's low down like that.
Oh,
Right? We also had these like torpedo shapes but full of gas. If that had been successful, it would have wiped out that whole estate in Orford. But unfortunately, they made a mistake. They put one bomb on the one that didn't contain the gas. They put one bomb on these that didn't go off properly, and then the other bomb failed. And then they were making their way out to get to the motorway and got lost. And they ended up in the town centre. and PC Tuka was coming off duty, and he was coming to round the back of the police station here, 10 o'clock at night, tired, can't wait to come home to my family. He saw a white van, saw the traffic lights change to green and it didn't go. And he thought, oh, they must be drunk. Can I be bothered? I've got to be bothered, I'm on duty still. So he followed it round and they went to Sankey Street, just before the town hall gates, further back, and he pulled them in. He spoke to the two men in the front, Irish men, asked them to turn the engine off, which they did, but the engine kept running. So he thought that's highly suspicious. So he went round the back and he opened the van and there was a gunman lying on the floor in the back. PC2 turned, trying to grab his radio to get help. He was shot. He didn't go down. He kept running, still trying to get his message through. He shot him again. He went down. Some of the people in the restaurants came out. Fortunately, one was a nurse. Gunman tried to shoot him again. Didn't work. So they jumped in the van and went off. Unfortunately, there was a sergeant who picked up some of his message. He came. They put the word out, what had happened. PC2 did survive, but the poor lad had had really, really bad injuries. And he did come back to the police station. But the Greater Manchester Police caught these on the motorway and they went to court and they were charged. Unfortunately, they were let out in the peace treaty. Right?
It's only for Terra Blair, yeah.
Yeah, so with repercussions, because it hadn't been successful, the IRA decided they'd come back to Warrington and have vengeance. So they came on the day before Mother's Day to the town centre. They planted 2 bombs in the 2 bins in Bridge Street. And at that time, the IRA was
so they had 2 strikes.
Yes, fortnight apart. They sent the message through because the IRA used to give a code, and that code would go through to wherever they found, and the police would know it was genuine. It wasn't a hoax.
I remember that in the 80s on the news, on the TV.
So these planted the bombs, and then they filmed the Samaritans, which at that time was directly opposite this police station. Unfortunately, that day they had switched their switchboard through to Liverpool. So the message came through with the code, we've planted 2 bombs in your town centre. Liverpool picked it up, evacuated Liverpool city centre. We knew nothing about it.
Oh.
We lost 2 children, umpteen people injured and traumatised. And that was 30 years ago. And as you see on here...
So someone said bomb town centre, they assumed Liverpool.
Yeah, your city centre, yeah. So, as you see here, you've got the crane going up. The reason the crane's going up onto the roof is when the bomb goes off, the debris goes everywhere. And they pick up this debris from all over everywhere. And believe it or not, forensics can tell by this debris, very often, which sect of the IRA have made it, and in some cases, which person.
Oh,
And they
right.
do it in things like matchboxes, and they put a match in and what have you, and then put a timer on it. They get away, and then they detonate it.
Their own, they all have their own distinctive way of making things,
it's a
like a
variety,
fingerprint.
And unfortunately, we're at peace at the moment. Hopefully, it remains. But 30 years ago, and I don't know why they picked Warrington. I've no idea. Don't know. Told you? No.
No, just
It is odd, yeah.
Just random, I suppose.
Just that original one was random, and then like you say, revenge with the second one.
Repercussions.
There was a bomb
Awful.
scare, Kingsbridge in Devon. The fire chief told the press, if it can happen in Warrington, it can happen anywhere. So they shot the whole of 4th Street, and it turned out to be some drunk playing silly buggers.
Yeah,
They
these
phoned up.
hoaxes. That's why they used to
She
use
phoned up the
code.
police station and said, "Get out! There's a bomb," because she was part Irish. She
I
put
used
on
to
an
do
Irish accent.
Security in a call centre for Great Universal catalogues.
Yeah.
And, there are call centres all over the place.
Yeah.
When you phone out, you don't know where you're phoning. But we used to have things in place because of the amount of hoax calls we used to get in
Oh,
the
right.
bomb in your building.
Yeah.
So we could have 1,500 women in each building at a time, and you'd have to evacuate them all. So we were taught to say, hold on, this is a hoax, because they don't even know where they're phoning, so they don't know where they've gone to. So unless you got a certain, sometimes you did get certain messages where they did know.
Yeah.
Now you have to
code,
When I've driven buses, public service buses, sometimes I've had a sixth sense about someone. They've got off a bus I've switched off the engine, gone out my seat, and I've gone and looked under the seat where the person was sat.
Yeah.
But luckily there was nothing there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was just something
It's
about him.
It's very rare there will be, but it's just.
I thought he was a
It's
terrorist.
just
I thought he's weird.
Very odd how people behave during a hoax bomb.
But
Never
three
know the
times
reasons behind it.
since 2000, I've actually got out and I've gone and looked under the seats
Yeah.
and thought, if there's any bag, I'm not touching
Better be
it.
safe than sorry.
Moving on.
They do mention it in training on buses. They do mention it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's anything, get everyone off the bus
This
and
is your Astra car.
don't touch.
This is your Astra, like I showed you. We had the model.
Yeah,
Same
2004.
etc.
Yeah,
Do you want to sit in it?
yeah.
Yeah. We'll get in the driver's seat. I'll put the blue lights on for you. I won't put the siren on because I know you're sensitive to noise.
I don't mind.
I think the officers upstairs will that are working. So yeah, and then you've got you have your radio.
Oh, looking for a flick switch with a siren there.
There's your radio and what have you.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's come off the lot. So we said we'd have it. We waited 3 years for the motorbike, but we've got it now. So
Do you want a picture, innit? Let's get a picture on your phone of you, innit?
Oh yes, please. Actually, if you just hold it, it's filming.
There you go. Look the part there now. There you go.
you can sit on the motorbike if you want.
Put them on.
I sussed it out then. I thought, I have a horn.
You'll have them running downstairs.
Right, if you want to go and sit on the motorbike, Tony, I'll photograph
Yeah.
you on that. Thanks, lovely.
But yeah, it's either flick switch or horn. Yeah.
Yeah, coming towards your phone where you like.
This is a BMW. It came off the ranks. It weighs a ton. And when I told you that women police officers can do any job, they can. But they have a lighter weight motorbike than that. A girl couldn't hold that up. It's too heavy. So it's cool, isn't it? It's got everything on it. Your flashing light, your camera, your radio. Everything you can want known to man.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, invaluable.
There it is.
Yeah. It is.
Oh, it's huge compared to, say, a
My daughter's a biker. And I brought her to
125cc.
see it. I mean, she's got to try and Bonneville. And she said, no girl could hold this something.
No.
I said, no, you have a lighter weight one, the girls.
Took a long time for you to get it in the museum as well.
Oh,
didn't it?
3 years we
Yeah.
waited for this.
Yeah.
Sometimes ride a moped on my car licence.
Right.
Yeah.
You're all
A
right
bit
with
different
that?
than a moped.
So I passed the car test 89, my grandfather right soon here.
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm the same. I've got grandfather act on mine.
I have got the DVSA DVD
Yeah.
on passing the motorbike test, so before what you just needed to pass one, so yeah,
Yeah.
I've done the research to improve.
Right, so we'll move through. Susan will do this for you. And I'll just go and have a quick drink of water in a minute.
You know, see the speed cameras and stuff.
Oh yeah, I've
So,
not
yeah,
seen
but-
one of those big ones for ages.
Yeah,
True
they changed now. We use one called TrueCam now. TrueCam are the new one, so they're fantastic because they video the cars coming forward. So when you're there, the solicitor used to always get people off, and like especially sports stars, and I think Sir Alex Ferguson was one, wasn't he? But he people that used to get off on technicalities with the TrueCam. It's
Yeah, it has to be
it's-
held very dead still,
well,
or
it's
they
really-
can get
it's not
away with
so
it.
much dead still now because it videos the car coming forward, and they're calibrated every time you go out. They're checked every time you go out. You've got to be trained to use, and you've got to do that. So there's less chance of people. It doesn't make mistakes because you've got the videos. It's really good.
That chart is similar to what the DVSA with the old paper tacos used
With
to
the
measure
taco,
the
yeah.
tacos.
That's what it is.
Oh, it is. It's
Yeah.
one of those. Yeah.
So
I
that's
thought
a
it looked familiar.
tachograph card from the lorries, obviously, because
I've still got blank tachos, although I've got my
digi.
digicard. I've still got blank tachos in case I drive an older vehicle.
Yeah,
I always have them on me.
yeah. Because a lot of a lot of places like motor museums and that'll have the old, because there's a motor museum in St Helens that has all the old buses and all the old lorries in.
Yeah, I did drive a vehicle about a year or two ago, which was paper tacho. Just there's one off, but most of them are just digi now, lorries and buses.
Yeah, I think everything's digital now, isn't it?
Yeah, I just did some work yesterday and did a download on my card.
There you go.
This is a setting from the 1950s, so this figure sort of represents an officer who's due to retire in 6 months. So what they do is they take him off frontline duties and he'd stay in the police station and do all the odd jobs that would need doing, you know, like mending uniforms.
That's the same apron my woodwork teacher
Well,
used to
they
wear
are
in the
very
80s.
similar, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly the same.
And he used to light 28 coal fires in this building because it was a massive amount of fires, basically. And look after the dogs, make the police meals, and he had sort of random tasks to do, and then he progressed to
Even got
retirement.
the shirt and tie like my woodwork teacher had.
Yeah, well, it is. It's meant to be represent that era, really. So.
But now they wear casual clothes, don't they, teachers?
Yeah, but that's what we used to wear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In the 80s, the teachers
So-
used to wear ties and...
they did. Yeah.
Right, we're going in the cells now, Stuart. On our way to the
There's
cells.
something you didn't want to hear, isn't it? Doing yourselves.
On our way to the cells, I'll just point this out before we look at the firearms. Nowadays, if an animal does something brave when it's in service, either in the military or the police or what have you, they get an award. This is Pablo. Pablo was working in crew with his handler. They went into a house. Pablo went upstairs where the criminal was and he threw acid all over him. Unfortunately, he had to be put to sleep. So this is Pablo's award. Right, he died in service now, he's age 9. But
So
little
he's
happy
very
end.
close to retirement.
Yeah, a little happy ending though. We've now got a young spaniel, Pablo 2, being trained as a sniffer
Right.
dog. So yeah, that's that.
My
And then, of course, you've
IAM Road
others.
Smart instructor who was ex-police. Yeah, he's got medals. His dog got a medal, his
Yeah.
police dog.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
He was
that
in-
they're that they're honoured for the service.
He
Yeah.
was on TV in Z-Cars,
Oh right.
Lancashire Police. Yeah,
All right. Very good. This, of course, is just representative of the dogs. Different dogs do different things. Get them to chase criminals, sniffer dogs. Some do money, some do bodies. And they're really, really useful. And they used to always, when they were retired, go back into other people. But nowadays, the handlers nearly always keep them as a pet.
They grow
Yeah.
so
And
attached to them.
Kerry, that had Leo until recently, she had 2 pet dogs, and she said they always used to lie in front of the fire. Leo was a working dog, so he stayed in his cage in the garden. Her 2 dogs were jealous when Leo went out to work. Leo was jealous when they lay in front of the fire.
Yeah.
He's retired now. He lies in front of the fire.
must be hard when you retire when they
Yeah.
take the new dog out and he's like starts doing a protest box. So where are you going? What about me?
So he's quite happy now. He's got his comfy spot. I don't know a great deal about guns. I've got to learn it because this display is quite new. I'm saying that, but it's several months and I've still not learned it. Right, in the corner, firearms officer, 1990 to 210. That's how he would be dressed. Next to him, this is the current uniform. Looks a lot less heavy, etc., but it's every bit as protective, right? And you'll notice that this officer has a camera on his head as well. Very important that they photograph anything that they do, because if they get pulled up over anything that they've done, they've at least got footage of what happened. Firearms that are on the wall, they're all police issued.
Taser, yeah.
Yeah. All these that we've got in the cases, everything's disarmed. There's nothing there. You've got the target practice here, the one here that's been used, the one that's not been used. These officers, when they stood down, they don't just sit there having a cup of tea. They're constantly retraining. They've got to keep on the ball all the time. And as you can see, Most of these bullets have hit the target. There's just one up there that missed. You'd probably have to practice a bit more, poor lad.
If you miss, if you in your training and you're not up to scratch at like high standards,
Yeah.
your training stops straight away and you're taking
I'm
off.
guessing
stood
it's
down.
for chest. They go for the
Yeah,
heart.
within that area that the circle's around.
We have very few firearms incidents in
Oh,
Cheshire,
so
luckily.
the face is okay around the mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
But can you notice out with that uniform compared to the other uniform? On that, see the badges, Alliance Policing.
Yes.
So the firearms are in conjunction with North Wales. So
Yeah.
when you see them, you'll see the BMWs driving around with head loop.
Oh, that's why.
So they're
the Welsh
firearms,
dragon.
dogs and firearms are part of our Alliance Policing. So we work together with North Wales, and it's a combined force. It obviously saves a lot of money training together, working together.
Right.
Covered a bigger area, but we've got twice as many officers covered in that area. So it's
I was also told, Tony,
More to a class. Yeah.
I was also told that they tried to have one English, one Welsh speaking officer in the vehicles.
yeah, which obviously
they could-
if you're in Wales, a lot
Yeah.
that's important
Yeah.
because a lot of Welsh people
Yeah.
will speak only Welsh.
If you look here, horrible job this, isn't it? Chemical, biological, radiological and nuclear. See, he's protected right from his rubber boots all the way
Probably
up.
something they don't hope they don't have to put on.
Exactly. He's got his breathing apparatus on, etc. His rubber gloves, the whole shebang to keep him as safe as possible. If you look at the picture directly above his head, when I told you that girls can do any job,
Yeah.
you'll notice it's a female officer at the front.
I noticed there's a lot of fire women as well now
Yes.
on the fire brigade.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. So yeah, so there's a young lady doing the same job as the men.
I was thinking of doing a fire appliance, the pump handler, driver, but 52, I'm a bit old now, I reckon.
Right. Right.
Otherwise, I would apply.
In the corner, you've got this officer. He's going out because public order, riots, all the rest of it. He's got his shield, but when they form a line, they have the great big plastic ones that lock together and they can walk forward. That's to protect him from bottles, stones, all the rest of the debris they throw. On the picture here around this corner, this one with the car, that's our assistant manager, that's Len. Len was a firearms officer, nuclear, and above him, target practice, is Chris. He's our curator. Chris was a firearms officer. So I will get some information from them about it and polish myself up on it. Right, going in the cells now. Before we go in, I'll show you this door. This is the condemned cell door from Knutsford.
Oh.
Right, if you were behind this door, when you came out, you were going to be hanged. Right?
Oh, right, that's why it's the condemned door.
Yeah. And just to frighten the children, we show them this. Yeah. So yeah, this is a condemned cell. And on the wall next to it,
Looks like he smuggled something, some happy backy in with it.
on the wall here, we've
In
got
his mouth, he's got no teeth.
Looks like he's having a good
some of
time.
the crimes some of the murders that were committed. And out of the 8 murders on there, there's only 1 that was done by somebody they didn't know. All the rest were done by a member of the family. And that's why they look to the family first. Very, very often, if it's a murder, they know the person. It's not random. Although I think we're getting that way now. Behind you, you've got the leg irons going right the way through to modern day handcuffs. As you can see, you have to be chained. This one you change with your hands on your feet. And then you move on to this. So, big double cell here. Well, more than a double cell, this one. So we've utilised it and made some space. So, Victorian front desk, right? This officer has brought this young man in. He's obviously committed an offence. So the officer's telling the sergeant, who'll make a note of it. He will be put in the cells overnight. And last night in the cells, you had Roberts, drunk and disorderly, right? Hopkins, begging, he's going to be bailed with surety. Wright, hawking without a licence. Smith, drunk in charge of a horse and cart. I hope the horse knew his way home. and Walsh and Riley poaching and assault. So they were all in the cells last night waiting to go up into the court and be dealt with. So on this side you've got your detectives, and that would be typical detectives outfit. You can see that some of them lined up there before they go on duty. They all wore a suit, they all wore a trilby. And this would be his desk. He'd have his telephone, his typewriter, his books, his radio, his safe for his evidence, etc. And his bottle of whiskey in the bottom drawer. So, yeah, and all his law books he could go through, etc.
Well, not mind them days back, you know, the bottle of whiskey in the bottom drawer.
Somebody said, why don't you hide that? That's not nice. I said, but it's reality.
It's reality,
That's
yeah.
what they did.
When I left
Show
school
you
in
history.
1987, and I did a training mechanic, but a few years later I worked in hotels, and yeah, it was quite normal for us to drink on duty in the kitchen.
Most people, you watch things like Early Doors.
In the evenings, it used to be quite
Early
merry.
Doors, where the police go to the back of the pub on duty.
Washing pots and pans and all that.
They come back and-
Right, drugs.
We're not offering them, we're just saying these.
Drugs.
Then, was it 1999, I got my professional licence to learn to drive a bus, so no, we didn't drink after that.
No drinking and driving, no drugs and driving. Cannabis, grater, smoke it, bake a cake with it, do what you want with it. Gateway drug to other things, right? Legal now in Canada, legal in other
Needles,
parts
horrible things.
of the world. Son lives in Canada. He said it's had a profound effect on the young people.
What's
It
that?
is, I've done this job 17
What
years.
is that? Is that a
and it's-
grinder or
That's a
something?
grinder.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And you see, people
First
say
time I've
it's
seen
not
one of those.
addictive, it doesn't bother you, but the psychotic effects it's had on
That's what they
people.
say, isn't it?
People I've known who've been on it, so I've been here since 2007,
Yeah.
there's people who I've dealt with as kids who were smoking it
Yeah.
at 10,
It's a
12,
trigger, isn't
who
it?
are
Yeah.
all now
That's
got
something else.
massive psychotic issues,
Yeah.
or they've gone
Yeah.
into crime, whatever, because
And,
that wasn't enough, so you go on to the next thing. and the
and
next
they
thing.
don't know
A
what's
nurse in
this.
the 90s said she worked at the local cottage hospital, Kingsbridge, and someone said about, oh, they think they should legalise it, and she was in the pub with her husband, and she says, no, absolutely not. She said, I've had people with mental health problems
Yeah,
at the
it's
hospital
so
because of
much
cannabis.
Well, you don't know. The other thing is you don't know when you first start on any of these whether
But it's a
you're,
drug,
whether
yeah.
you're liable. I mean,
So-
my daughter is epileptic. If she'd taken with
Like
and
alcohol.
we didn't know
Alcohol's
until
a
she was
drug.
15.
Yeah.
If she'd have decided that she'd have a spliff or whatever, who knows what would have affected her brain. But all these different drugs, and I think what's really frightening is you get these LSD where the children see them and they think they're like sweets and it just melts on your tongue.
They look like little postage stamps.
A lot of
Yeah.
people now, I mean,
Stickers or something.
it's moved
Yeah.
on even now, they make cannabis.
If you licked
sweets now.
those in the
Yeah.
80s,
Give
you'd
out
be
to
on
take
your back.
into
And it's
Yeah.
like with the ecstasy, they make them pretty like pink and things like that. And
Yeah.
it's
No,
It's
it's
just
not
around
They're
the
both like
tablets.
Haribos, so
Yeah.
kids, they go
Yeah.
into school with them
Yeah.
and the teachers don't even know.
And I did a film for 8 Headquarters about cocaine. I had to bake a cake with pretend cocaine. Anyway, that's beside the point. What the film was showing, and they filmed it and they put it outside in affluent areas outside wine bars and that, because that's the drug of choice for anyone with a bit of money. And what it was saying was, you do not know what you're taking, because all they want is money. So you'll have a bit of cocaine, probably a bit of talcum powder, a bit of white soap powder, a bit of rat poison, and then they snort it up the nose, the silly devils. So we make a big thing of that when the children come in and tell them only drugs off your doctor, your mum, your nurse, or what have you. So yeah, and the drugs officer came in not long ago, showed us all this the heroin, all different colours, the amphetamines, the cocaine, and all the different ways that they use it and what have you, and the dirty needles and not good.
I had a neighbour who
Marches.
lost his legs through heroin.
Really,
Because you
Yeah.
start injecting into
Yeah.
the legs and
Yeah.
it does
it's
literally
like
all
when you
in.
snort cocaine.
You can- you can see a
It's a
lot.
septum, isn't it?
Yeah, you see
My
a lot.
flat stank of cannabis, and
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
the
carries.
social housing were ignoring the complaints about the smell and where it's
Yes.
coming from. And eventually a police inspector come round plain clothes and spoke to a few of us, and he said, give me 5-10 minutes. He says, I'm going to have a walk round. And then he come back about half an hour later and he said, you're right. He says, I've just been in a property, and he says, there's a cannabis farm in it.
Yeah.
He said he's got PCSOs on the way in the van to come and bag it all, take it all away.
Sometimes we come in through the back door.
The problem we have nowadays is that
He told me how it was coming into my
so
flat.
many people smoke cannabis.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of complaints of houses with cannabis smells and
Yeah.
whatever. And it is an almost impossible. It's like smoking behind the bike shed years
Yeah.
ago now. It's become the norm for a lot of people, sadly.
It's
But
just
it shouldn't
recreational.
be, but it is.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just a
So
recreational drug.
for
isn't
us
it?
dealing with somebody smoking it inside their own property is so hard to deal with now,
Exactly.
because it's just
He had a tent in his living room, and he said the reason it was coming into my flat is because he had a hose going out the window, and he showed me through my window, and he said, if you look out there, he said, you've got a vent here. He said, it coming
Yeah, it comes
directly.
in.
Yeah.
I've been to some amazing
It's getting in
cannabis
the wall
farms
cavities.
which, if they put their mind to doing a proper job rather
Yeah.
than doing that,
Yeah,
they're so talented. I mean, absolutely unbelievable.
I was worried because I was driving buses, and I said to him, I said, if I had a drug test, would I fail that drug test? Because I had headaches.
No.
It was giving me headaches because I was
it
inhaling
does.
it.
Yeah.
He
It
said
doesn't-
it would be a small amount, but he said it would show.
It wouldn't affect you on your actual drive. No, they used to store them at Stockton Police Station, which is similar setup to this you've been in. And
Yeah.
they store them in the end cell, and all our lockers were in the next cell. We stunk of it all the
Yeah.
time.
Sometimes when you come in the back here, if they've taken some in,
Yeah.
you smell it as soon as you
So,
walk
but
through the
our
door.
clothes were stinking, and one of the lads saying I'm getting headaches all the time, whatever.
Yeah.
So that it does have no effect
Yeah.
on you. It doesn't. It's just the smell.
Yeah.
I tell you.
Yeah.
On a drugs test, when they swab you, would that have shown us 2 lines if someone's breathing it in like that?
No.
Oh, so it's got to be a lot
You
higher.
wouldn't fail a drug test like that. You'd have had to have
In
actually.
this cell,
That's what I was concerned about. If I was in an accident and got tested, yeah.
we've used this cell for all foreign uniforms.
He looks like a Canadian
County policeman.
Yeah, my county mountie, because my dad was a town crier. We used to go to Canada.
Right.
Town criers competition,
Well,
and he
we had
was
3 Canadian
county
mounties.
mounties.
Yeah, we had 3 Canadian mounties in last week. They came to visit us, so they were very pleased to see him in his full uniform.
It's a shame I didn't come then. I could have.
Yeah. So then you've got all the other uniforms, as you can see right the way across. You've got the French, you've got the German, the Austrian, and all the different headgear that they wear.
Their laws, they're like the magistrates. They can sentence you on the pavement there and
Yes.
then, take you straight to jail.
Yeah, and it's like in
If
America.
you,
you've
if you
got
argue and go
different-
court and lose, then you get longer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like America. Different states have different laws, and then you've got all the different headgear. You've got the gendarme with his.
Oh, France, yeah, I've seen them when
Yeah,
I've driven
yeah.
over to France in the car, the
Yeah.
gendarmes.
Yeah, then you've got the Russian, and of course this one's fantastic. You might know it'd be Italian with his lovely feathers and what have
Some
you.
town criers have them on their
Yeah,
uniforms and
yeah.
feathers.
So yeah, we're using this for that.
Vatican police. Oh, Italian.
Yeah, that's what's said, all these feathers, etc. We've got all the badges from all across everywhere, mainly America. We've got stacks of American badges. Yeah, and like I say, different states have different laws. It's all down to the governor of that state, really. Yeah. Then we come to fake money. I researched the fake money, and believe it or not, your £20 note is the most prolific, and your £1 coin, right? And your £1 coin is estimated to be 30 to 40 million fake ones. And if you've got £8 coins in your pocket, I can guarantee that probably one at least will be fake. And you know, sometimes when you put them in a machine and it comes out, you
So it's
think,
hard
oh,
to
and
tackle.
you put it in again and it comes out. Not always, but more often than not, it'll be fake. It'll either be a little bit light, probably not exact, but they can't.
Luckily, I've never had a shop say I can't take that. Luckily,
No, they won't with a
Yeah.
coin, but sometimes the machines will pick up on it.
Or a
You will
note.
with your £20 note, because as you know now, they check them and everything. And when my son came over from Canada, he got his money, his British money, and they give it him all in £50 notes. Not one place in Stockton Heath would take it.
So when a vending machine rejects a coin, the chances are it's fake, and then I've just gone in a shop and bought something with it.
It don't matter.
So you're not doing it on purpose, are
They're
you?
being circulated.
I thought it was just a faulty coin.
Yeah, well,
It could be
it is a faulty coin, it's
Yeah.
fake. But not always, not always.
It's like the Scottish notes, isn't it? A lot of places won't take them.
But surprisingly, when I've checked notes, luckily mine have always passed.
Escape cell. This is the door to an escape cell, right? Put a prisoner in overnight on your petty criminal. Came the next day, opened up to give him his breakfast through here. No prisoner.
Oh,
My God, we've had an escape. Somebody's helped him. Inside job. 3 days later, he was picked up in London. They brought him back. Who helped you? Nobody. Don't be ridiculous. Inside job, who's helped you? I did it on my own. I climbed through there. No, you didn't. It's impossible. I'll show you.
if I was a kid, I probably would fit through that.
Well, he wasn't a kid. He rolled his bed up. This is him. This is the actual criminal. That's why I can't see
Oh,
his
right.
face. Got his head and shoulders through. Got his hips through. Down through that door. Into the toilets. Smashed the window. Little tiny window. Down spouts outside. Got through there. Over the roof. Onto Banky. Jumped a train. Right?
I know someone who escaped from Kingsbridge Police Station cell, and they got him a few months later.
Well, this one.
He was telling me how he did it as well.
Right? Well, this one they sorted out. No trouble because when they came back, they put that on. With a padlock. So he couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah,
And that's...
through a window. The guy I know
that's a double
escaped.
cell if you want to go in that balloon.
He squoze through because he was skinny like
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unreal to get through that.
Menus on the wall on the right. Half a loaf of bread.
A rat for company.
No, yeah, that's what I could do with now.
And tea. But not half a loaf of bread.
Well, a pint of bitter, but I can't have it.
Are you on duty today?
5 o'clock.
Oh.
Not too bad.
Yeah, he's got a spider and a rat for two rats for
We
company.
like to frighten the children to bits. Highlight of the day. And then sometimes we pretend we're looking them in the middle of the day. It depends whether it's fun to do.
Some of them we want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So we'll move across to the war room.
You won't get through that window.
Right. This is the war room. And the reason we have this war room in the police station is we had the Navy at Stretton, the Air Force at Padgett, the American Air Force at Burton Wood, the Army on Gorsey Lane, and when the lads were in town and they'd had too much to drink, if the MPs came and arrested them, they would bring them here until it was time to go back to barracks when they got them, a load of them. So they were held here, just temporary. So this is the war room, and as you can see, you've got some of this. We've got the air raid siren, you've got the ARP, you've got all the different paraphernalia, and of course the gas masks and everything. The one for the baby, which is horrible but necessary it was, although we didn't get any gas, thank God. So yeah, so that's why we have a war room, because we were in the middle of it all around here. And Burton Wood was very important.
Royal Police, I used to see them down Plymouth a lot, the Provost,
Oh,
Royal
right,
Navy
yeah.
Police.
Yeah, yeah,
On Friday, Saturday
Yeah.
nights when the drunks were,
yeah.
I tell you what,
that's it.
they didn't take no nonsense.
No,
They
yeah.
were big.
Now the MPs would come and get them. If someone
They
told them
would
to go.
sort them out and hand them over to civilian police,
That's right.
and any military they would take them away and they'd be going to
Yeah.
the glass house.
Then you've got all the different old time rewards. I like the one where it's a lady's eyeglass.
I like that.
I like the lost male sheepdog. And he probably was very valuable because he'd have been trained
I know,
on
there's a couple
Yeah,
of sheepdogs.
Yeah.
Some people used to square up to
And
military
then
police,
look at
but
this.
they'd regret it big time.
Yeah. £500 reward there. That was a
a lot of
fortune.
money, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And then, oh, what's in there? Right? This is your forensics. This is your forensics. Your all-star forensics. And they moved on to these. and then this is your modern day one. And the Socko came in and she redid this the other day, so all this is bang up to date.
I thought about doing something like that actually. Only last year I was thinking I wouldn't mind doing that
Must be
job.
very,
forensics.
very interesting. Very interesting. And that she told me that you can even get DNA now, even when it's been in acid.
So with the lorries, there's a lot of agency 0 hours contracts now.
Yes.
Because this government, they messed up the HGV trade, and I was thinking, if I saw a job like that going up, I might inquire about the qualifications.
Yeah. Yeah, my son's at HGV, but in America.
I was thinking of going on the buses again, because at least it's a 40-hour contract,
Yeah.
not a 0 hours,
Yeah.
which mess you about. Yeah. Well, you can't pay the bills on it.
So that
Busy times, you'll earn £1,000 a week, but then you go weeks without any work. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
At Christmas earned a bit, but
Yeah.
that all went on bills. Not a lot left now.
Unfortunately, what it does. Yeah. These are the badges.
Well, I'm getting some next week, so I'll get
You're getting some
MOT
work.
advisories fixed next week.
Right.
Because I took it for MOT 3 weeks ago and it got some advisories, so
Right.
I'll
Very
be
good.
booking it in the garage next week and picking up a hire car for
Right.
work.
Excellent. These are your old-fashioned phones and radios, and you can imagine the reception wasn't very good, etc. Reception nowadays is excellent, isn't it, Tony? Is it?
Not enough buttons.
Is it problematic now as it was years
It's
back?
always, it's like every radio signal wherever you go.
Yeah.
It's good and bad in other places.
Like mobile phones, yeah.
So yeah, so
I can
that's
never find a
basically-
good
They are mobile
one.
phones, but
Yeah.
the signal isn't always as good. It's
No.
1,000 times better than
But it was.
when I started. We had them and
Yeah.
they were awful.
Dodgy. Yeah.
I've got an old radio at home. It's obsolete now. It
Right.
doesn't pick up anything now, but it used to pick up the police before they went digital.
You can't do that anymore.
Yeah. I used to hear about the locals.
I used to sit in bed of a night listening to the police radio, and then you know when they were going to come past.
I'd say at work, I say, "Oh, Paul Shan's got nicked again," and they go, "God, that idiot!" And I said, "He said what?" They said, "Let me guess, he's fighting with the police." I said, "Yeah."
But yeah, no more
I
of
used
that.
to hear it on the radio.
No
I
more
used
of
to
that.
shout down, "Paul Shan's been
That's
nicked
just a
again."
selection of helmets. Truncheons. At one time you had to make your own truncheon. So, some of the men used to make their own, and they'd put a fancy top on it so they know which was theirs. Chair legs. All made out of chair legs. And then you've got this very long truncheon, and the reason for that is it would be a mounted officer horse. So they didn't have to have a much longer reach because they were high up on the horse. And then you've got all different selections of them. And when I first came and I saw that one, I thought that was the end that they hit you with, but that's the part that goes over your hand.
It's quite big, isn't
You know,
it?
like a sword.
Mm.
And I thought, oh my God, they didn't hit people with that, did they? So no, I was
So
wrong
it's got
on
the
that
strap
one.
on it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Those radios, though, receivers were a deterrent because people knew that if you did anything wrong, when they go and work the next day, they'd know they'd be in trouble.
To me, this is the worst job in the police, but someone does it and they seem to enjoy it. Because when they go down, you know very well they're looking for evidence or a body. They're in dirty, filthy, freezing, mucky water.
You wouldn't want to be diving in the ship canal on a Mersey.
You wouldn't, would you? But there you go. They're either looking for evidence, as I say, or they're looking for a body. And
I
it's
reckon they find bodies which they didn't even know about in the Mersey, etc.
Right, they found the window one. And
People
on-
that had a few too much to drink and not been reported,
Yeah.
or being reported missing, but it wasn't seen as
Yeah.
suspicious.
Exactly. So that's that. And this picture here, this officer on duty here, this officer here is our manager, Peter, and this is in Lim. And there was a child falling off a boat. Good news was they found her. She was alive. Yeah.
Alive? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
lucky.
She'd been in a little pocket of air. So that was really lovely.
Just very cold.
Yeah, but
Oh, the old
she
blue
was
police
safe.
lorries.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got all the old stuff and all the old equipment. And
I'm licensed to
grappling
drive one of
irons.
those. It's
Are you?
class 2.
Right.
Well, I've got my class 1 Arctic as well.
Have you? Oh, excellent. Yeah, my son drives 90 foot long across America.
They take a lot more anticipation because you've got a horse on, like having passengers on a bus, so you've got to keep well, like with the Arctic yesterday, I'll try and keep moving because if you come to a stop at the lights, it's a lot of weight
Yeah, it is.
and a lot of fuel to pull away.
Yeah, that's what my son said. He said people come overtake you.
And cut,
He said, and they
brake
forget,
check.
you can't just brake like a car. You've got all that weight taking you forward.
Oh, it's annoying.
Yeah,
It's always German cars as well.
yeah,
Audis and VWs.
yeah.
And Mercedes, they come in front on the motorway, pick their exit last minute, and they brake in front of you.
These are just some nice memorabilia.
You can hear
nice
the engine
helmets.
revving the exhaust
Yeah,
brake
yeah.
loudly.
Yeah. So then that's just your paraphernalia. So, that's your tour. Stuart, I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yes.
And you've got some
Thank
good
you.
information. And
Some good videos to watch when you get home again now.
Yeah.
yeah, you can go through it all. And if you've got my lovely voice on it, you'd be very, very pleased you've got a northern accent.
I wonder if what's going to happen with Lindsay Oil, whether he's going to resign or whether he's going to stand up to him in Parliament.
We'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Oh no.
We'll have to wait and see.
Don't get involved is the best way for us.
I understand why they're annoyed though. It was. This does seem a bit unfair. Why he apologised and said he made a mistake.
Yeah, he did. But it'll be fish and chip paper next week.
But it's coincidence because obviously he's a Labour politician and yeah,
Yeah.
it does
So,
look a bit.
Tony will escort you out.
That's sure
because
it is.
Okay, thank you.
Because we're police station. I hope you've enjoyed your time
Thank
with
you.
us. Pleasure.
Thanks.
All right, lovely. Bye-bye now. Bye.
Bye. Yes, there was someone, I went to the library and museum there last week and someone said, yeah, he came here for the escort
Yeah.
round.
Yeah, they're brilliant because they're all volunteers, so they don't get paid, they don't do any, do all that. All that's put together by volunteers, so you can imagine the work that they've had to put in for free to do that.
Bit like St John's, they on one of their days off, they volunteer.
Yeah, it is, but they are fantastic people, they really are. You just press that door to get
Yeah.
in, mate.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And enjoy your walk back to Gar, at least it's not raining.
Yeah, town, yeah, at least it's dry.
You got it. Just push that button and then pull it and then it should go.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
All right, mate.
Okay, thank you.
See you.
Cheers.